Et en 1835, elle est partie pour l'Algérie. Et là, elle s'est occupée des Arabes, des musulmans, des Juifs, de tous les pauvres, des soldats qui n'avaient personne. Elle s'occupait de tout le monde.
Sometime later, Mother Emilie returned to France, where she met Archbishop de Goualy of Albi. She asked him to approve of the rule of her new institute. Then, she went to her father, who received her with great emotion and pride. Emilie returned to Algeria and found a house which she called La Miséricorde, whose doors would be opened to all those in misery and need. Next, she established successively a novitiate, a school, a dispensary, and a refuge home. One day, the Lord helped her to cure the chief of a tribe whose nickname was Serpent of the Desert. When she tasted the medicine before giving it to him, he cried out, offended, "Why are you doing that? I would take everything from your hands with confidence." Thus, the name of the Sisters of Saint Joseph of the Apparition became synonymous with all the works of mercy throughout Algeria. After France and Algeria, towards the middle of 1840, Mother Emilie founded a house in Tunisia with the consent of Archbishop de Goualy and the support of Father Bourgade, who accompanied Emilie in her new projects. In 1842, Mother Emilie journeyed to Rome and lived in a private house in the Apollinari area. She used to go to pray in the church of Saint Augustine, in which lies the tomb of Saint Monica, mother of Saint Augustine. In 1846, she opened a second house in Monserrato Street, which later became a school, where the sisters worked up till 1890. Emilie also frequented the Church of St. Louis of France, where she used to pray with her sisters and where some of them were buried later. She was very impressed to see a reliquary containing the arm of the Spanish saint, Saint Francis Xavier, in the Jesuit church, where she liked to spend time in contemplation. After Emilie's death, the congregation opened a third house in 1890 in Margana Street. The sisters used to go often to the church called Altar of Heaven, where there was a cemetery bearing the name of Sisters of Saint Joseph of the Apparition. To honor the greatness of Rome, The congregation later chose the Eternal City as the seat of its general government. In this house, the sisters loved to pray before a golden reliquary containing the heart of Emilie or before a glass case containing her skull. Tunisia was an important stage in Emilie's life. Following a visit in 1845, she embarked with the intention of going to Algeria, but a violent storm of 9 days drove the ship ashore at Valletta in Malta. Emilie, who had wished for 2 years to go to this little country, saw in this shipwreck a providential sign. In the space of 11 months, she founded a hospital and a school whose importance exists till our day. It was not possible that the Middle East remained deprived of Emilie's mission. In 1844, she received a letter from the apostolic delegate, Monsignor Brunoni, asking her for sisters for Cyprus. He told her of the misfortunes of the Christians in that country. After his meeting with Mother Emilie in Rome, the Holy Father gave them both his blessing, and the new missionary band was destined for Cyprus. On September the 2nd, 2 sisters, Sister Philomena and Sister Eugenie, embarked in the port of Marseille on a boat bound for Cyprus. During the crossing, a violent storm arose on the sea. The sisters were terrified, so Sister Philomena said to Sister Eugenie, "Don't be afraid, it's the devil's voice fleeing to give us his place." After Cyprus, several bordering countries asked for the presence of missionary sisters who would bring a rich civilization with a vast culture, as well as very much needed humanitarian aid. Mother Emilie ardently desired to help the Near East, where the sisters and monastic life was limited to prayer and adoration. In 1846, Emilie traveled to the Isle of Syra in Greece, where she founded a house. After that, the whole Middle East followed. On the eve of the Feast of the Assumption, August 14, 1848, the Sisters of St. Joseph came to the Holy Land and arrived in Jerusalem. Foundations then followed in Greece, Turkey, Crete, and Bethlehem. The last 2 houses founded at the end of her life were Aleppo and Australia. The journey to Aleppo was a real adventure. Their ship, having caught fire, was wrecked. Then, when they had taken the route across the desert, they were robbed and exposed to danger. One of them was even injured when she fell off a horse. During her numerous visits to her grandfather in Paris, Emilie used to go to pray in the Church of the Fathers of the Foreign Missions. She was quite impressed by the photos she saw there of the martyrs in the missions. Thus, the Holy Spirit was preparing her to respond to the appeal of the Apostolic Vicar of Burma, who, in 1847, asked Mother Emilie to send him sisters for a humanitarian mission. Seeing in this a call from Providence, she chose 6 sisters for far-off Burma. The journey was fraught with unsuspected pitfalls: bad storms at sea, dangers while crossing the Egyptian desert from Alexandria to Suez. One of the sisters tells in her diary that, during their journey through the desert, a white-bearded sheikh carrying a walking stick accompanied them and helped them to embark at Suez. But once aboard the ship, the man disappeared. They understood then that it was no other but St. Joseph himself. After the remarkable work that the sisters were carrying out in Burma, it was Australia's turn. Indeed, Mother Emilie responded to the request of Bishop Serra and, in 1856, sent him 4 sisters for this distant mission. It was the last group to be sent on mission during her lifetime.